It's time for Two Wild and Crazy Dads with your hosts, the Maestro and the Bronco. It's the show that talks about the important stuff in life. Let's start the show.
Thank you. Yeah, the important stuff tonight, we're going to be talking about some football. More specifically, what?
Fantasy football.
That's right, all you armchair quarterbacks out there, get ready. So, how many leagues are you in, Bronco?
5.
5. So am I. And we're in one together, but yes, I have 4 others. Only 2 of them are for money. So what are all your different league types?
The only one that's worth for money is I only have one.
One for money.
But with that one,
standard redraft.
With that one, he came up with a new rule where, like, for instance, I had Chase Brown and I drafted him in the 10th round, so I don't have a pick for a 10th round
as a keeper.
Whatever that, yeah.
Okay, so you get to keep him and roll him over, but you don't have a. Okay, see, I have a 2-man keeper league too, and that's one of my 2 money leagues. Now that one I'm actually the commissioner of, but when we had the draft the year before, we had decided that we were going to do a keeper, and we decided it was going to be 2-man. So at the draft party, we discussed how we wanted to handle that because, you know, it's the whole, like your situation. And it was like, what about if somebody traded them to you, you know, then what? You lose your last pick? You know, how does it work? Do you get drafted by what they picked? Like if they drafted that person in the 2nd round and then they trade them to you, do you have to take that 2nd round loss if you pick them? That, all that stuff. So we decided to just make it simple. You have the option to keep 2 people, but every person you keep, you lose your 1st and 2nd round. So if you keep 1 keeper, you lose your 1st round pick. If you keep 2 people, you lose your 1st and 2nd pick. Or you can throw them back. But I kept 2 people this year. I kept A-Chain and London. So, because I was like 6th pick. I was like, I'll just keep those 2. So I knew if being the 6th pick, I wouldn't be able to get both of them if I threw them both back. I could get one of them at the 6th, but I couldn't get both of them. So those were my keepers. And several other people in the league kept as well. So the people who didn't, there might have only been 3 people in the 1st round that actually had a pick. And then like 6 people in the 2nd round had a pick. And then the 3rd round would start as normal. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
If you have anybody on your team that you feel like you want bad enough to keep them to throw away your 1st round pick, you got it. Same thing with the 2nd keeper. It just seemed like a simpler way to keep track for everybody.
See, what I was going to do is I was going to keep Jalen Hurts, but he told me that was your 1st round pick, and he's like, I think you can do better than Jalen Hurts. Yeah.
First round pick? Who picks a quarterback in the 1st round?
Because the year before he was badass.
So? You could get him in, like, listen, all the leagues that I'm in, except for ours, like, I was surprised at that draft. That was fun. We had a good laugh at some of those picks. But shit, man, every league that I'm in, people would not even touch a quarterback until maybe the 3rd round. Like, if it's one of the elite QBs, like Hurts or Lamar or somebody like that, you know, Allen. But nah, man, they don't go in the 1st rounds for us. 1st round for us are always the skilled players, the CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, A-Chain, CMC. Those are always like the 1st rounders and 2nd rounders. Like nobody even touches a quarterback until at least the 3rd, if not 4th.
See, and my thought process, and I don't know why, is like the quarterback makes the team, and
Yeah, but
no,
see, what most people don't think about is there are 32 teams out there. Okay, even with a 10-man league, everybody has a backup. That's still only 20 quarterbacks. So 18 if you don't you're talking about the other people having them. And in a draft, you need a bunch of receivers and a bunch of running backs to fill all those spots and those flex spots. You only have one quarterback spot. And the average quarterback will score you in that 18 to 25 points range every single week. And you could treat a quarterback like kickers and defense and just swap them out on the waivers and free agents every week based on the matchup. It just quarterbacks to me are like, it's good to have a good one, but it's not worth wasting a high draft pick when you can get a stud.
the
You
one
know
I
what I
did
mean?
tonight before I came on the show is I tried to pick up as good running backs and wide receivers, and then I finally went and picked up May.
Yeah, see, and I think you got to pay attention. Like in my strategy is I pay attention to last year's stats, the changes on the teams, and see by being in these dynasty leagues, it makes me pay more attention to all these quarterbacks, and I see these rookies that are going to be studs that nobody else really knows about because they're so focused on the guys from last year, they don't follow the news on the rookies. So I mean, you're seeing Hampton going in like round 6, 7, and he's going to be a stud at uh, the Chargers. He's already projecting out of the gate like 15, 16 points in most leagues, and he's
And
falling
that's all they're
down
gonna want to
to
do because they got Jim Harbaugh. They're just gonna want to run.
exactly. And people are picking up Herbert like as a starting quarterback down the road, like in the draft and certain leagues that I'm in. He's like free agent because he what has he done lately? He can manage the game. He's got a lot of talent, but like he just hasn't been able to put it together.
No,
But yeah, man, like because you want to grab those receivers and running backs that are the good ones. Like get those Lamb, Chase, Jefferson, get the Achans, get the Henrys, get those guys because you know somebody else is going to do that strategy. And yeah, you're going to have Lamar or Jalen or Allen or somebody like that, but then you're going to have Devontae Smith and Pickens and T Higgins, and it's like all these second like wide receiver twos are your starters because you wasted your time getting a quarterback and something like that. You're not going to get the cream of the crop. All those picks are going to be gone by the time it comes around to your next picks.
yeah, I ended up picking up Jefferson, Harrison, Flowers, Jennings. And I'm not sure about Douglas. And then for running backs, I got Jacobs, Henderson, Dobbins, and Etienne.
Oof, those aren't like ETN. We'll see. He could either come back to his good days, or he could be like just keeps falling down and Tank keeps taking over. Um, Demario Douglas
Yeah,
for the Patriots.
yeah. I don't think he did
Eh,
anything last year.
he's like I don't even know if he's the number one because now what is it? Stephon Diggs is in New England.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, is he going to be the number one now? There's never
Well, I
there
had him
hasn't
last
like
year, and he sucked.
the last the last Patriot to actually be worth a damn as a receiver had no quarterback, and that was Jacoby Myers.
Yeah,
And then he moves over to Oakland and still
they don't
hasn't
have a
had a great
quarterback.
quarterback situation, but you know what? He keeps plugging along. You know, I'm happy to have him on my team on the bench for when the buys and the injury bugs start hitting. You know, in deeper leagues, you might have him as a starter, but he's definitely a solid bench pickup. good 6th, 7th rounder grab, my opinion. A lot of people who haven't drafted yet, sneaky tip here, a lot of people aren't paying much attention to Ayuk. You can pick him up in a later round, stick him on your IR spot as soon as you finish the draft, and go snatch up somebody else from the free agents real quick with that empty spot. I did that. I did that with him, and I did that with Addison in a couple leagues. So now I've got both of them sitting pretty for when, like, I picked them up late, cheap. So I still have good starters, and then when they come back, I got other good starters. I don't have to make choices.
For our league, Mixon was out he's out for 4 weeks, or at least 4 weeks. So I'm like, all right, I'll put him on the IR. But by the time I went and looked for good players, there wasn't shit.
Yeah, but you got him later in the draft. Just because he's going to be out for 4 weeks, this season's long.
Yeah.
You know, injuries happen. You're going to have players that go down. You're going to need a solid running back. You're going to be running to that waiver wire trying to grab those backups of your fallen running backs, you know. So to have that strategy in your head, you know, this gives me, I won't need him for 4 weeks, but if something happens after that, he's there.
What makes me laugh is I think there was 2 people in our league that auto drafted.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that happens sometimes. You forget, you don't pay attention. One of our buddies, RJ, decided he said, you know what? I'm not in the mental capacity to deal with that right now. I'm just going to let it auto draft. Hopefully,
well, in that case, then that makes it 3.
Yeah, he's like, hopefully my team's good. And then, like I was telling you before we started the show, that motherfucker's projected the highest points in the league this week. But he's got like 9 running backs. Like both running back spots and both flex spots are filled with running backs. But they're all good. I don't know. I might try to make a trade with him. If he does, you have to pay attention. Either way. So 2 of my leagues that I'm in are dynasty leagues. Have you ever done one of those?
No.
Dynasty leagues are fun, but they require a lot of attention. So for anyone that's watching that's not really familiar with the formats, there's a standard redraft, which is just where you throw all your players back and have a fresh draft every single year. That's it. Keeper league is where you have a set number of players that you can keep and roll over, like we were talking about earlier. And then dynasty league is where you're basically the general manager of a team. When the league starts, you have an initial draft. You draft your players. You think about the fact, like you gotta have a strategy thinking about age and like the teams that they're on and like how long their contracts are and you know stuff like that, because this is your draft. This is your team. You're stuck with this team. You can either make trades or you can just cut them or whatever, but you're not starting over with a new draft next year. And every year you just do a rookie draft. Like we draft rookies just like the NFL does. And we have our teams and that's it.
And then you pick up people like free agency.
Yeah, you can pick up free agents and stuff, but there really aren't that many because you know your team is your team. Somebody that you might cut in a redraft league, like I don't know, Romeo Dobbs or something, like because you only have a set number on a redraft bench. It's like, why do I want to use one of these
not
spots
free
for
agency,
him
waiver wire.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you can get somebody else, you know, whatever. I got Puka Nacua on waiver. But you know, you could get somebody else in a redraft. You don't need that spot. But in a dynasty league, you know, somebody like Romeo Dobbs, he might have had a bad year last year, but he might have a better year this year. So it's worth hanging on to him, especially when they start figuring out their receiving situation in Green Bay because they have so many damn receivers.
Didn't he
on
get
that
cut?
team. Dobbs? No.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Last I knew, he was like the number 2 now if Golden's going to be the number 1. I mean, on my league that I just looked at, he was still projected like almost 10 points. I don't know. I have it up. Let me look. Real time checking,
Nah.
guys. There's not even any news. Last thing on here was from 6 days ago where he had a touchdown grab in the preseason win.
Oh,
He's played for the first 2 offensive possessions along with other starters such as Matthew Golden, Tucker Kraft, and Josh Jacobs. He caught his touchdown. Dobbs looks ready for the Packers Week 1 matchup against the Lions. Worked through a back thing.
well, fuck! Don't believe everything on Facebook.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Team that has been practicing without Jaden Reed and Devontae Wicks for most of training camp. Dobbs remains on track for Week 1 to start opposite rookie Matthew Golden, while either Reed, Wicks, or Malik Heath figures to be the third/slot receiver in Green Bay's opener.
I'm fired.
So, I mean, he's already going to be the at least wide receiver 2 if Golden's the number 1 until Reed comes back, and then Reed could usurp that spot. I don't know. Dobbs has a lot of potential. He's a good player. He's just underutilized. That yes, he's had some drop problems, but he's also underutilized. Like he's not that deep threat speedster for the big play like Jordan Love likes, because he loves Christian Watson and Reed and Wicks because those guys are fast. They get down the field quick. Dobbs is the big guy that he's gonna make that contested catch. Should make that contested catch.
I had Reed last year. He was good.
Yeah, he's got a lot of potential to be good. You just got to stay healthy.
That's Watson too. Like he's always hurt.
Yeah, seriously. But Watson's kind of one of those boom or bust players. Like he'll either have one of those games where he has 2 deep, 50+ yard touchdowns, or he'll get like 3 receptions for 7 yards.
Well, shit, right at the bat, his first pass, he dropped, and it was a sure touchdown.
Yeah, I think that entire receiver room in Green Bay, each one of them individually has the potential to be a number 1 receiver, but they never get it together. And I think there's too many of them that it's hard for any one of them to really stand out and shine.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you get a crowded wide receiver room. And that's why there's no real clear number 1 big player in Green Bay. Like you look at all the receivers, not a single one of them is really projected more than like 12, 13 points. Like there's no Puka, there's no London, there's no St. Brown, there's no Chase or Jefferson on that team. There's nobody that just stands out prolific. Boom, that's my number 1 guy.
They're all 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D.
Yeah, they're all flex options. It's a team of flex. It's the flexible wide receiver room. So who's the quarterback to watch this? The underdog, unexpected quarterback to watch this season, and who's set to fail? Who's been pumped up? That's just going to be miserable fail, and who's the?
I don't know if it counts if it's a rookie.
No, it doesn't have to be rookies. I'm just saying, like in the quarterbacks, there's a lot of moves this past year. There's a lot of talk about
Sam
Nix and
Darnold.
May, and you think
Sam
he's going to
Darnold ain't worth
be?
that money.
You know what I've realized? I was thinking about this the other day because I have London and Pitts on that money dynasty. It's my highest uh, money league too. Um, I was stoked last year to have. I even made a trade to get Pitts because I was like, Cousins, man, he's a fucking slinger. He loves to throw that ball. Pitts is a tight end that's a wide receiver in a tight end position, and then London's a fucking awesome receiver. Like, I'm watch out, guys. Kirko's gonna take me all the way with these two. And then you see Darnold lighten it up. And now he goes to Seattle now. So now my question is, are either of these quarterbacks really worth a shit, or is it just that Minnesota scheme is set so well that it doesn't really matter who you put in there?
I don't know though, because when games matter most, Sam Darnold shit the bed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is it one of those plug and play? Like, doesn't really matter which quarterback you put in there; they're going to be successful because of the team and the coaching, the talent around them. You have your top two receivers out there, three. Listen, you have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hawkinson. Throw the ball in their vicinity, and they're going to catch it. And Addison will outrun anybody. So, like, as long as you can get the ball in their area, can you really fail?
We'll see, because it's going to be J.J. McCartney.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Is he going to
they got
be
Aaron
some
Jones.
breakout stud? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they have Darren Jones, and before that, they had Cook, and it's like they've always had Adrian Peterson. They've always had a solid running team, you know? So you have a good run game, and then you have, all-star receivers and tight ends. It's kind of hard. It's like like the Bucks the year that they won the Super Bowl. They put in Brad Johnson, washed up old quarterback, and they took him all the way. He was a game manager. All he had to do was manage the game. And that's the kind of quarterback that Cousins is. That's the kind of quarterback that Darnold is. They're not flashy.
It's Trent Dilfer.
Managers. Yeah, Trent Dilfer in Baltimore. Dilfer sucked it up in Tampa. Awful. And then we got rid of him and sent him up to Baltimore. And I say we because I live in Tampa. I am not a Buccaneers fan. I am a Colts fan for the shoe, baby, all the way. Hey, like I was telling you backstage, I got a soft spot for Denver because y'all took the share from us. Whatever. He won a Super Bowl with us first. Anyways, speak of a game manager, that man could. You didn't even need a coach with Peyton Manning. He could run an offense through the whole game. He knew what needed to be done and how to do it. Those years that we didn't have, the years that we went to the playoffs and didn't make it, it's because our defense, like our offense couldn't, like the defense would let them keep catching up to us. It wasn't that we weren't putting points on the board. It's that we weren't stopping them from putting points on the board. And as a result, I have come to hate Tom Brady.
Yeah, I don't like him either.
Listen, no. Tom, you're a hell of an athlete, but fuck you, okay?
Yeah.
Because year after year, I watched that motherfucker knock my Colts out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it pissed me the fuck off every year. Then we got Andrew Luck. I was excited, man. After Peyton left, we had a year with JB, Jacoby Brissett. Woo! Think he was the future? No, we knew.
I think I read today, like, there's been 9 different quarterbacks.
Well, see, yeah, because we had JB, and then that was all a stunt, basically, just to get Luck. We got Luck. came out of the gate, taking us to the playoffs as a rookie. You
He was
know,
badass.
showing all kinds of potential. Like his first 3 years in a row, he finished
Mhm.
with a winning record and got us at least to a wild card. Granted, at the time, the AFC South was garbage. Matt Schwab was at Houston. Tennessee and Jacksonville were like at the bottom
McNair.
rung. Was it? I think it was Tannehill. No, who was
Ryan
there before?
Tannehill.
Who was there before Tannehill? And
Marcus
then
Mariota.
yes, Mariota sucking it up. And then in Houston or in Jacksonville, it was like what was the dude? Minshew and I
Blake
forget who it was
Bortles.
before him. Bortles, yes, Bortles. So I mean, look, you know, he had easy pickings, and we won the division every year and made it to the playoffs. And then he just up and retired in the preseason. Like, I get it, bro. It's tough sport. You know, you get your ass beat, you know, concussions, whatever. You made your money. You're like, I'm good. I just want to live my life, fine, whatever. That's cool. But you do that shit before the fucking draft. You don't do that shit in preseason. Weeks. Just a couple weeks before the season starts. That's like farting and walking off the elevator. Like,
It
oh,
was
going all the way,
me.
going all the way up. Yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden, here comes the preseason, and then as he's walking out, he's like, "Enjoy that." Ding, the doors close.
Like a liar.
You know, honestly, I don't even think that's like farting in the. I think he took shit in the corner of the elevator and then walked out. Wiped his ass with somebody else's towel on the way out.
Jim
And
Irsay's towel.
ever since then, we've just been shit, man. Like our luck left with him. So what? The
Wah,
next year we got
wah.
next year we get Philip Rivers. Okay, Philip Rivers does. You know what? We pulled him out of retirement. Seems like every time we needed a quarterback, we were going to the retirement home to pick him. Rivers. This is before the 17 season, whatever. He went 11-5 and took us to the playoffs his first year. You know, didn't
It's
go
probably
far.
cold there and probably had a couple kids while he was there.
Yeah, that dude's got like a fucking litter. Football and fuck is apparently all Rivers does, man. Hey, I have no argument, man. He's fucking hell of a player. I respect the shit out of him. He was a great player for years in San Diego, and he took us to playoffs in 1 year and then retired again. He's like, see, I'm good. And then we went and got Carson Wentz, thinking that he was going to be anything. He had one good year and then got hurt, and Nick Foles carried him through the Super Bowl on a team that was just too good to fail. Why do we want him? He never did anything after that. I have a feeling that there's a lot of people in Seattle like, why did we get him? Thinking the same thing that I was thinking with Wentz. But I tried to be hopeful. I was like, yeah, you know, maybe he'll have, you know, a good seat. Nope.
Then you guys had to one up yourselves and get Matt Ryan.
I was gonna say, and then we went back to the senior center and picked up Matty Ice, and it wasn't he wasn't Matty Ice in a good way anymore. It wasn't because he was ice cold running that game. It was that ice had melted, and he was like fucking snowman in May, you know, just kind of sitting there as a puddle.
He's got the same problem the Waterboy head coach does. Like he's still got nightmares over 28-3.
Yeah. That was That was an embarrassing Super Bowl. The Seahawks, they scored every way that a team can score points. They had a safety. They had a defensive touchdown. They had special teams touchdown. They had offensive running touchdown. They had a wide receiving touchdown. Like, they had points literally every way you could score.
And they had fucking Marshawn Lynch. You needed a fucking yard.
Beast mode.
Fuck.
And then you take him out. I was talking about the one that Seattle won, where they scored like every.
Oh, that's probably against Denver. I don't want to talk about that.
You don't remember that? They scored literally every way you could.
Yeah.
That's the game I was talking about.
Yeah. Took me a minute. Yeah.
Every possible way a team can score. They did.
The very first play, the fucking ball goes over Manning's head. I'm like, fuck. Then we punt into them and they fucking score. Then we kick it to them, they fucking score.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucking.
And then oh god, they had a safety at one point too. Like, yeah, that was a brutal game for
yeah, that safety was the very first play.
Russell Wilson.
Well, at least for Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was like, fuck you. The defense is like, we want to win this.
Yeah, I can't stand that fucker.
Special teams is like, don't leave us out.
Yeah.
So how do you think Russ is going to be in New York?
I still have the fucking job. I don't get it.
I don't see him on a lot. Hey, he did well in Pittsburgh last year. He did. It wasn't bad. He won games. They went to the playoffs.
I think they'll give him a couple games. And then if he shits the bed, I hope they go with Winston. That dude's cool as fuck. I just have him on my team.
Listen. I will always have a soft spot for Jameis Wilson, and it has nothing to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It has everything to do with my Florida State Seminoles. That motherfucker squinting, looking at the sidelines at the play, and going out there and tearing it up. National championship followed by an undefeated season where we barely lost in the national championship. James.
Or if I was a TV person, I'd interview him every time. Be like, can I interview Jameis Winston?
Oh, I didn't even play. I don't care. Come here. You're fun to talk to.
Yeah. I hope he's a color commentator or something.
You know what? Honestly, like, he's one of my favorite people to watch play. And it's like, he's one of the only quarterbacks that can go out there and score 6 touchdowns and have 6 interceptions. Like, he is going to score on almost every drive. It's just a matter of which team it's for. You know, he's fun to watch, though. I love watching him in college, and he was a lot of fun watching, you know, in Tampa, and you know, it was fun watching him with Judy in Cleveland, you know. But I don't know. Speaking of New York, guess where the Colts went looking for the quarterback pool? Another never was. Like, we had a whole bunch of has-beens, and now we have, like, Carson, and now we're going with Daniels, the never was.
Danny died.
A lot of hype. Yeah, Danny had a lot of hope going into New York. A lot of hype. You know, a lot of people were high on him. I'm not. They must have been high when they went for him. And Richardson should have never trusted a Gator. That alone right there. I'm talking about shit in the bed. We should have never trusted a Gator. I knew better. he's going to be like the next Jalen Hurts. More like always Hurts. Goes out there.
And then didn't he pull himself out of the game?
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was tired.
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, how? When you get to the elite level that it takes to be in the NFL, playing 60 minutes and running should not be a challenge, especially when you're not even on the field for the full 60 minutes, because there's timeouts, quarter changes, all the halftime, all that stuff. Then you have all the time that the defense is on the field and the special teams. Like, you have a lot of time to rest. Is he not part of conditioning practice? Does he get to sit out while everybody else is like doing conditioning? Like, does he just hit the weight room and not run or anything? Like, even when you're a pocket quarterback, you still got to be able to scramble. And he's a rushing quarterback. Of all positions, a rushing threat quarterback should not be getting winded after making a big play. Yeah, go on in. This isn't the defensive line, bud. You can't just like swap out. Like, this isn't a hockey matchup where like you just like go and jump over the rail and the next team comes out. You're the fucking quarterback. Get your ass back out there on that field. What is wrong with you? And he's getting beaten out by Daniel Jones. The next Jeffrey Sensation stud, the next future of Indy, got beat out by Daniel Jones. What does that tell you?
It's going to be a long season for you.
Watch, you know what? Maybe this is the JB move where we did to get luck. We suffered through a mediocre year of Jones and Richardson. The next year, we just like outright ass. And then in that 27 draft, that's the QB draft right there. 2027. There's some players that are going to be coming out in that draft that are going to be. It's going to be like that year where everybody was hyping over all the quarterbacks. Luck, and then Luck was the only one that did any good.
There's a Manning playing for Texas. Son? Yeah. Huh. Or whatever, Archie Manning. I don't know what. I just know he's the Manning.
Well, Archie Jr. Archie's their dad.
Yeah. But I don't know if he's a sophomore or a junior.
So you think Darnold's the hype that's going to bust?
Is who?
The hype that's going to bust. Because I was asking.
Oh, yeah. Never mind. Yeah,
everybody's hyping him. You think, he's...
Yeah, Darnold, I don't know.
They're thinking he's going to put up what he did last year, and then he's going to go up there and be like he was at the Jets.
Yeah, exactly. I see ghosts.
That would go with my theory, though, of Minnesota plug-and-play quarterbacks. I mean, Cousins left and failed. Cousins sucked. Cousins sucked in Washington. And then he sucked in Atlanta. He was good in Minnesota. Cousins, I don't know, man. Maybe that's what it is.
We'll see with McCartney.
Maybe he'll show us both up and go to Seattle and ball out and be like, all y'all haters can eat a dick. It's not me, it's the Jets.
You two wild and crazy dads don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You guys are stupid. Stick to music. Yeah, I don't know. I think May is going to be. I think Drake May is going to live up to his hype. I think he's going to be what the quarterback that turns New England back around. I think Nix is definitely the right fit for you guys. I think he's going to be. He showed a lot of potential last year, and after a whole NFL season under your belt, I think he's going to be one of the ones to watch out for this year. Underrated people that are getting picked up much later in drafts and stuff like that I think they're going to end up being studs, at least fantasy wise. Those are two quarterbacks right there. They're not flashy. They're not runners. They're not Lamar or Jalen. They're those game managing quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and Drew Brees. Those quarterbacks that got out there and knew what needed to be done to win. They didn't go for the big play every game. They plugged away and chipped it at. Those are the quarterbacks that continue to succeed and win games.
And they were saying that Nix was hanging out with Drew Brees the offseason.
That's even more potential because all he's doing is filling him full of great tips and advice and how to play the game and deal with Sean Payton. Because who better to help build a relationship than the guy who basically lived his entire career with him.
Plus, Peyton's around here saying that we're going to the Super Bowl. I just don't want to get my hopes up.
Hey, I get it. You're not hearing any of that in Indy. I'll tell you that right now. Nobody's saying we're going to the Super Bowl unless they have tickets. Then they're saying it. Or unless they're going to get traded somewhere else. But it ain't going to be us.
When do the Pacers come back?
Yeah, exactly. Is it basketball season yet? Thank God for fantasy football because honestly, as bad as my Colts have sucked lately, I don't know how much football I would really pay attention to if it weren't for fantasy. And for anybody out there that doesn't play fantasy football and you're just not really into NFL, or if you're in a town where your team, like me, I'm a Colts fan that lives in Tampa, Florida. I don't get a lot of Colts games, but not like I really want to watch a lot of them right now. Just a very disappointing 3 hours for me. Or exciting 2.5 hours with a very, very, very disappointing half hour at the end. It's just one of those, And then there's the occasional victory where it's, God, what was that one game? Like 15-12, all field goals, and we won. I think it was Baltimore.
I thought you were talking about that year with the Broncos. Where it was like 9-6 in overtime.
No. I'm talking about a game that legit. It was either 15-12 or 18-15. We won by a field goal.
I think you're right. It was Baltimore.
Yeah. Every single fucking point on that game was a field goal. It was because both teams had stellar defenses, and the offense couldn't do shit. The best they could do was get it close enough for the kicker to come out and put some points on the board.
And they were both good kickers.
Yeah, we still had Vinatieri back then.
Right? I think you were talking about like last year.
That wasn't last year. Was
it?
Was it last year?
I don't know.
I thought it was 2 years ago. No, we wouldn't have had Vinatieri. We had Blankenship.
Yeah, never mind.
From Georgia with the glasses.
Never mind, because last year you guys had Gay.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. I don't think it was last year. We didn't win very many games last year at all. I think it was 2 years ago when we were in the JB era and transition for, or was that the Matty Ice year? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the Matty Ice year before we got the Melty Ice, the Matty Crushed Ice. Yeah. Either way, I'm surprised we didn't just sign like Flacco to a deal or something like that to just be the sure starter. Just put Jones and Richardson as the backup. You know what? I know what they're going to do next year. They're going to bring Fitzpatrick out. They're going to bring some Fitz magic to India, and that's what's going to happen.
Bring him out of
Now we have,
retirement.
yeah, we're going to go after Fitzpatrick. Bring some Fitz magic out of retirement to come tear it up on, because we're going to have some kind of stunt to get people to watch. Like, it's not going to be,
I
you
shouldn't
know,
laugh, but he's like one of those players like Winston where must see TV.
but he wins games. He's
Yeah.
a journeyman, man. He's one of the, you know what I love about Fitzpatrick is he's one of those, I don't know what I like to call backyard players, like one of those guys that's just going to get out there and fucking have fun. He's good. He's got talent. He knows how to run a game. He's not like that MVP quarterback, the hype that everybody wants, but he's like that guy that can go out there and get the game done. And he's been on almost every team in the NFL.
Plus, I think he went to like Harvard or Yale, so he's pretty
He did.
smart.
He graduated from Harvard. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
How do you get to be a starting quarterback on almost every team in the league? I guess from being smart, you know? You played football at Harvard. How many draft picks like do you hear going to an Ivy League school in football?
Hardly any.
No. I I don't know if it's just because like all their funding goes to education or if it's just so hard to get into that school that like all these geniuses don't play football or if it's just like one of those schools where you know if you're even remotely good at football you're going to get a scholarship because they need people to be on the teams but then you know you get a bullshit degree at Harvard, you know, like some of these football players they go and get bullshit degrees in college. They take easy classes and they get these big scholarships to play. What do the football players take? Because I mean, you're basically going to graduate Harvard with a degree just because you were good at football. What's your degree going to be in? How many people are going to hire you thinking, oh man, elite Harvard degree? And then they're like, you suck in the business world. Like, you're very athletic. You could jump up and grab something off that top shelf, no problem. You can move that copier out of the way for the cleaning lady to, you know, vacuum like a champ, you know, but
We can't spell cat.
yeah.
You don't know what 2 + 2 is.
Yeah. Man, that made me think of, you know, because some of these players, a lot of them that are very charismatic end up being announcers, you know, or the sideline commentators or the Monday night countdown and stuff like that. Because it's all ex players that do that. I really do hope Jameis is like prime time. Like I want to see him on Sunday Night Football. Like
I
sitting there
thought you
next
were
to
trying
Chris.
to segue over to Booger McFarland. Well,
Dude, I
the
want to
team's
see
losing because the other team scored more points than the other team. Well, no
what
shit.
they would if I think Jameis would fit best with the Thursday Night Football crew. But
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see him sitting there with Chris Collinsworth on Sunday night calling a game together.
I can't fucking stand that dude. I fucking can't stand Chris Collinsworth.
Now imagine him and Jameis and like having a serious football about conversation about football. Like, see, Jameis, I see him being more like having fun with Marshawn on the Thursday night crew. You know?
He'd be pretty cool in the middle of Joe and Troy.
I don't know, man. I think it would. I don't want to hear him as like the halftime or the pregame. I want him to call the game. I want to hear him calling the game. His commentary throughout the game would be better than watching the game itself. I don't want to have to wait for halftime to watch him entertain me.
Him and Al Michaels and Curb Street.
Or put him on Sunday NFL Sunday countdown with
Chris Berman.
Yeah, is that's the one where they got Howie and
Oh, that's NFL. That's the Fox. Fox has Bradshaw.
What's the one I'm thinking of?
The
They
ESPN
have
has Rex Ryan.
Michael Irving. Which one has Michael Irving?
I think NFL Network does. I think.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. It's got Irving and it's got
Steve Smith Jr.
Mooch Smith Jr. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of. Yeah, he'd be pretty good on that one, but I don't want to see him in one of those. I want to hear him call a game. I don't want to hear him talk about players and all that. I want to hear him call a game. I want to see him interviewing people after the game.
That's it. Make him a sideline reporter.
Exactly. Do interviews after the who we got out there? Who we got out there? Hey, come on. Squinting, looking around the field. Hey, you know what? I'm making fun of him, but I fucking love Jameis. I love him. He'll always have a spot in my heart. Even if he's not a spot on the field. They should send him to Vegas. I'd like to see him in Vegas. You know, he'd be kind of fun out there with the new rookie Genty, and then you got Myers out there. You got Bowers who can catch anything. Get him like a good deep threat speedster out there.
That's another quarterback that's fucking overrated is Geno Smith.
See, I think Geno. Yeah, I think Geno's. See, I think there's a thing in the quarterback situation where like it's always kind of been in the NFL. You have those quarterbacks that are like the elite, the top tier, the Lamars, the Allens, the Mahomes, the Hurts, the Breeze, the Manning, the Brady, the Elway, Marino, Favre, like
Kelly,
these guys.
Warren Moon.
These guys. I have an autographed football from Warren Moon. But I mean, these guys, like they stood the test of time. They won year after year after year, playoff bound. Like every year, they were contention, like winning seasons. Roethlisberger, how could I forget him? Like there's a lot of great quarterbacks out there. But then there's like even Russ was elite at a point. Like then they have those quarterbacks that are just there, They're not the elite quarterbacks taking you to the top. They're the quarterbacks that sign 3-4 year contracts and then get traded somewhere else, But they're still
Danny Dimes.
Yeah. Fitzmagic, Minshew, like these guys, they're good enough to fill a season, but they're not like franchise quarterbacks. I think Geno's one of those. I think Darnold is one of those. I think, Jones, sad to say, is kind of one of those. They're like the guys that you get when you just kind of need to get through a season.
The fucking Broncos spent way too much money on Case Keenum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then Cutler.
he was actually all right. He wasn't too bad.
Well, there's so many guys that you think are going to be great, and then they get to their team and then they suck, and then they go somewhere else and either do really good at the other place, or they think, oh, well, it was just that team. They still got so much potential. We'll put them over here, and they get even more hype for a new team, and then they suck just as bad. Never really take off. And then, there's like, what's his face? Herbert. He's a good quarterback. He'll be the future of the Chargers for a while. They'll be competitive. They'll have winning seasons. He's just not an elite quarterback that's going to win the games that matter, the playoff games. And I think
I was just thinking it could be way worse for you guys. Like the fucking Saints don't have a quarterback either.
Yeah. I mean, they got Rattler.
I'd rather have Danny Dimes.
I'd rather have neither. I'd rather have Fitzmagic. Fitz, if you ever see this, come back. Come be a Colt for a year. Come on. You want to. You're itching to get back out there on that field. Either way. So, who's going to be the fantasy leader at the end of the year? Is it going to be Chase? Is it going to be Jefferson? Is it going to be McCaffrey, Genty? Who's got the number one overall fantasy player at the end of the year?
Let me think a minute. It'll probably be Chase.
Chase. See, I would say like
Yeah.
Lamb or Chase, but then, now you got Pickens in Dallas. You got, still got Higgins taking.
Lamb's a fucking diva.
Yeah, but he's a fucking beast. Wasn't he number one last year?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you notice that the number one fantasy players almost every year, typically like the top 10 overall fantasy point players, how many of those are typically quarterbacks?
No, it's usually wide receiver.
Or running backs like McCaffrey and Achane and Gibbs, right? So why would you want to waste your first round pick on a quarterback when you can have one of them?
I'm going to use this advice tomorrow.
I'm just saying, watch how big of a difference your team is. Because, like, if your first two rounds, you go quarterback and then, like, receiver or something like that. Let's say your first round, you take Lamar or Allen, in your first round pick. You take one of them. And then in your second round pick, you're lucky enough to get somebody like, London or Hill or somebody that's fallen back a little bit, but still going to be an elite receiver this year. Then what? Then what's your next best? You're going to need another running back or receiver or something like that. Now you're in the third round. The big guys, the elites, are already taken, and everybody else out there has, two elite receivers, two elite running backs, something like that, one of each, and you got great quarterback, but one good guy that can score you 30 points versus two guys that can score you 20 to 30 points every week. I'm just saying, most quarterbacks are going to put up that 18 to 25 point range every week. Almost always. And the more skilled players you have to fill all of those empty slots, the two running back spots, two wide receiver spots, potentially two flex spots, depending on your league, you're going to need a lot more of those guys. You only play one quarterback.
That is true.
And is it worth getting a receiver that's going to put up 10 points every week versus one that's going to put up 20 something every week just to get that quarterback that might score 5-6 points more than the other guys every week?
Or if you're lucky, you can get three good players by the time you need to get a quarterback.
See, I honestly I go for those quarterbacks that are still good but fall back, like the Jordan Loves, the Brock Purdy's, the Stroud. Like those guys are gonna put up fantasy points every week. They like to throw the ball and they're fast if they need to run. Yeah, they're not, Lamar and Allen in them, but they're still putting up damn good points that are going to contribute to my team that's already stacked with all my skilled players. It's not like just because I don't draft a quarterback in the first 5 rounds, it's not like I'm going to be stuck with Rattler. There's still plenty of decent quarterbacks out there, Just saying. Food for thought when you're trying to plan out your strategy. Pay attention to the rookies and don't think about the quarterback until at least the 4th round. And if you're going to do that, it better be Allen or Lamar or Hurts. Otherwise, wait till the next round to grab Mahomes or one of them and then stop. Oh, Jaden Daniels, sorry. And then stop. Because after those 5 guys, there is not another quarterback out there worth drafting until at least the 8th round.
It's like you said, even if you have 12 men in your draft or 12 teams in your draft, there's 32
That's
teams.
Only 24.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there are 32 teams that have 32 number 1 receivers and 32 number 1 running backs, but there are 2 of each of those positions on each team and flex spots for those other guys. And bye weeks and injuries, you're going to get all your points off those receivers and the elite running backs. If you're not going to get Gibbs or Achane or Henry or Genty or, one of those guys, the Bijan, if you're not going to get one of those elite 20-point every week running backs, don't get one in the first round. Go receiver. Might not even want to, you can pick up some of these rookies. A lot of people sleep on these rookies like Henderson and Hampton and Genty gets a lot of look at me, Genty. It's going to be the beast, but these other guys are going to be Henderson and Hampton. They're going to be great out of the gate. They're going to be starter worthy out of the gate, and you can pick them up in the 6th and 7th and 5th and 6th, later rounds. Pacheco, he's going to be good. He's fallen way back in the draft. I picked up last year my running backs. I ended up trading and getting Achane. But my running backs were Aaron Jones and I don't remember who the other one I originally, Chuba Hubbard. And I picked both of them up way later, 6th, 7th round. But I had Nico Collins, I had Drake London, I had A.J. Brown, I had Rashee Rice. And I picked Rice up in the 5th round. Do your homework. Pay attention to these people that aren't front and center on ESPN. And you'll pick up a lot of great players, and your team will be stacked by the end of the year. Use your first 2 rounds to get the big names, and then save those lesser-known names that are going to be big this year, like Jacoby Myers. He's the number 1 in Vegas, and they didn't trade for anybody. They're not trying to replace him as the number 1. And he's only got to really compete with Bowers. So yeah, everybody's sleeping on him. He's fallen to much later rounds. He's a good pickup. He's the number 1 guy there. Same thing with Olave. He's been having all those headbang injuries lately, but if he can stay healthy, he's an elite receiver. Even with a shitty quarterback, he'll still catch that ball.
Yeah.
Get his head blown off doing it, but he'll catch that ball. Doesn't take much. just the way he comes down and lands sometimes, or the
Yeah.
hits that he takes trying to take. If he would get a quarterback that could put the ball where it needs to be, and he wasn't having to do these crazy catches to get it and put himself in these shitty situations, quarterback that's not gonna throw the ball to him as he's walking, like heading towards two defenders, that he's gonna run into a wall as he catches the ball. Like, come on, man. Find your
David
man's
Carr
open.
is bad at that.
Oh, Derek Carr's just bad. He wasn't very good in Vegas or Oakland. He wasn't very good in New Orleans. And you know what? That's who's going to be the starter in Indy next year, I bet. You know who? I want Jameis. I want Jameis. If anybody in the Indy organization, or if Jameis yourself hears this, come to Indy. I want you. I want you, Jameis. I want you. I will buy the NFL Sunday ticket on. I will get DirecTV just so that I can watch the Colts every Sunday to watch Jameis. I would love him to be our starting quarterback. It would never be a boring game. That man, 30 touchdowns, 25 interceptions to end the season. Like, those are ridiculously good and ridiculously bad stats for the same player. He's got the most touchdowns in the league this year, but he also has the most interceptions in the league this year. But he's fun to watch. I that's kind of what I think Fitzpatrick, I think Baker Mayfield's one of those kind of players. One of those, like, scrappy, gets the job done, like whatever it takes kind of guys. Like, lay it on the line. He's got to be like hurt to not play. He's got to be in a point where he can't throw the ball or walk on the field for him. Like, if it's a soreness thing, Baker's one of those guys that's just going to go out there and play through it. He's not a diva.
I bet Cleveland wish they still had him.
Oh, I bet they do too, because Watson. Dude, and he used to be one of those players in Houston. I used to love watching Watson. As much as I hate the Texans, I used to love watching him play because, like, I remember one game where it was a goal line, and I want to say it was like 4th down or something like that, and he should have been tackled like 6-7 times and still scored a touchdown. Like, the plays, the tackles that he got away from and stuff. Like,
I figured it out. That's going to be your quarterback next year.
I want Jameis. Hashtag Colts for Jameis 2026. You know what? It's not too late. Get him now. Trade deadline hasn't hit. Hashtag Jameson Blue.
Hashtag crab legs.
Jameson Blue for the shoe. And with that, we will bid you adieu, because that's our time for tonight. Join us next Friday, right here at the same time, and you'll find out what we'll talk about next week. Until then,
bye.
Have a good rest of your weekend, and enjoy the week.